All right. So the Department of Homeland Security, basically what we have a major issue with family units. And a lot of those family units are not really family units. And that's why we have to kind of separate and figure out who's who and what's what. But there is this arrangement, of course, that we know about. You've got to release kids after 20 days. And in many cases, we don't have anywhere to release them to. So they basically are kind of taken into like a foster care system. What the Trump administration wants to do is they want to end catch and release, which is a huge problem because once again, after we restarted this and we told you it was going to happen, they don't come back for their court hearings. They don't ever come back. Okay. It's almost 100%. It's stupid. How many people do not come back for their asylum hearings? Well, we don't want the kids separated from their families, and everybody is complaining about that. We can't release them back into the country, so they're just illegal immigrants on the run from the law. That doesn't help anybody. So what the Trump administration wants to do is they want to keep the families together, but they don't want to put them in cells. They want to keep them in like a college dormitory environment. That's kind of what they're looking at doing. The agreement had prohibited children from being kept in detention for more than 20 days. As a result, officials were releasing entire families to keep them from being separated. Though last year, the administration did separate families as part of a zero-tolerance program that eventually was stopped amid bipartisan outcry. Today, the government has issued a critical rule that will permit the Department of Homeland Security to appropriately hold families together and improve the integrity of the immigration system. This rule allows the federal government to enforce immigration laws as passed by Congress and ensures that all children in U.S. government custody are treated with dignity, respect, and special concern for their particular vulnerability. So the Flores ruling came about as a result of a 1980s case in which a girl named Jenny Flores, then 15 years old, was detained with adults by U.S. authorities after she fled El Salvador. Beginning in 1997, the Flores settlement called for migrant children to be sent to care programs after 20 days and be given access to medical treatment and visits with relatives. McAleenan, I guess is his name. I always struggle to pronounce his name. It's every time I say it, I sound like an idiot. So the new rule takes place of Flores while keeping many of its terms. The new rule is slated to go into effect in 60 days, though the change is sure to face new court challenges. Democrats are already up in arms about this, even though they have been unwilling to offer up any kind of an alternative and or compromise or to prevent the problem in the first place, which the president has been trying to do. Wouldn't it be great if we were in a position where this wasn't something that we had to consider? But the Democrats in the House of Representatives don't give a damn about any of the migrants there. They want to use them as an election issue. So anyway, McAleenan said that we want to keep families together through an immigration proceeding that is fair and expeditious in an appropriate setting. That can't be done in 20 days with due process, which we also want to make sure that due process is there. So what they're looking at doing is having them kept in, again, like a college dormitory situation. They will have exercise, obviously medical care, food, services, all of that stuff. They won't be held in a cage or cell or anything of that nature, but it'll be like a room. And the idea is to keep the families together without having a cell, without endangering anybody, and without having this forced separation or releasing them into the country where we'll never see them again until we arrest them for some other crime down the road. 574-2595, 95.3. Jim, welcome to the program.
Yes, I was kind of wondering, are they going to make these families take, gene tests to find out whether the parents are the true parents of these kids?
They're supposedly doing that now as these family units come in to make sure that they're related.
Right, and then I was thinking if that was the case, then I would think that some of these people that this happens to them, they're going to be caught because guess what? You're not the right person for this child, and maybe this is going to have a two-pronged effect. I don't know.
Well, I don't know either, but we've caught a lot of people pretending to have kids, because we separate them now temporarily, and we do the DNA testing, and they've testified before Congress about this too. In fact, Ocasio-Cortez got obliterated by the DHS official over this a couple of months ago.
And I think we should subtract all the cost of these migrants that are from the country that we give aid to. They should subtract all the cost of this from the aid that we give these countries. And we're paying for all this stuff. Basically, they should be paying for this, not us.
No, I understand.
And how sad is it that a country like Guatemala. I mean, I'm looking at when Vicente Fox was in office. You know, the people are dying to get out of your country. How do you feel as the president of a country that people are dying to get out of?
I think it was the president of Honduras who said it's not Trump's fault or anybody else's fault. It's our fault that these people want to leave. So at least somebody down there is taking responsibility for the conditions in their country. But
you know, and those countries are beautiful. I don't understand why they don't stay and fight for what's theirs. You know, I mean, we fought a civil war to free slaves. We fought a war against England. For this country, why can't they fight for their country?
Yeah.
You know, the first thing they did.
Here's the thing, though, Jim. They don't have the rights that we have, so they're not armed.
Exactly right. But we didn't have the rights that we had, and we had to fight for them. And they took away the guns from these people first.
Right. Exactly. All right, I got to roll. Appreciate the call. Yeah, they don't have the ability to fight. And in El Salvador, there was a civil war for a long period of time. Okay, long period of time. And I mean, actually, in many of these Central American countries, there were civil wars and things like that. But you know, it's a horrible situation. It's clearly, I get why they want to leave. I wish that they weren't dealing with the corruption that they were dealing with, because these are beautiful countries, and many of them are resource rich too. And they could be if the corruption would just get out of the people's way. But the corruption is so bad that it doesn't happen. I said, look at Mexico. It's an oil-rich country, for crying out loud, and it's a third world cesspool. And everywhere but pretty much the tourist areas in Mexico City. And it's because the UN considers Mexico one of the most corrupt countries on earth. I mean, that's what's killing it. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. This